Then everyone, thank you very much for attending. Thank you also for the participation of the mandatory compliance course that we sent out earlier this month, as well as the kind of fun work bite videos that we've been sharing every Monday. I've gotten some great feedback from those. And one piece to say, while that is shared on your RNLU account, if there's any information that you feel like friends or family members could benefit from, please feel free to, pull up your laptop, share that with them, or screen share, however you need to be able to provide that information. The more secure that we can all be, the more secure all of our homes and institutions will be. So with that, Dan, I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Brittany. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining and attending. Hopefully this will be a little bit more interactive, and maybe I'll even show you a couple things that you may not. Well, we'll see if they're surprises or not. Fishing for trouble, don't get hooked. So Cybersecurity Month in October. Appreciate everybody joining and actually going through our first campaign that we've had in a long time. I am Dan Giacomelli, Cybersecurity and Compliance Manager. I work within the IT shop, obviously, with a whole bunch of different people. Most of you know who I am. I report up through Michael Claiborne to the IT shop. So on that note, my team, who do I work with? I do have one cybersecurity analyst resource overseas, Kiran, who has been a lifesaver in the past couple months. And our focus this month was really just to get everything up and running for training, Cybersecurity Awareness Month, phishing campaigns, but of course, PCI is right on its heels. So that's been my focus so far. Okay. So what we'll discuss today, of course, is RNL target. Everybody better understand the word yes. Absolutely they are, for a variety of reasons. We'll go through some personal professional safety. And of course, we do have QA questions and answers that have already been submitted. And we do have some answers along with some things we might be able to show you if we have time. Okay. So what our numbers say? No, it's not number one. These are our numbers. So we do have something called abnormal security, which is, if people, all of you are hopefully aware that we are in the AI space. We've been in the AI space for some of our tech tools for a long time, for a couple of years now. Abnormal security is one of them. So for our email, and I've actually got another slide over here. So we do have some spikes that we had in Q2, Q3 for phishing. Now, if people don't know what a phish is, that's where people try to gain access to either do some malware or social engineering to gain access to your account and get some information. And we were under attack by a very green firm that was, I guess they were impersonating another company through Q2 and Q3. And this slide doesn't really do it that justice, but if I can show you this one, this actually, you can see the spikes. If you look at the previous slide, and we'll go back to it in a minute, they're logarithmic scales over the month or past 90 days, but you'll see that we actually do have some spikes roughly from May all the way up through to September. Now, this is with spam and phishing attempts. If I actually just go to the attacks, it actually shows a little bit better. You'll see that we do have a whole bunch of spikes in here. And we were under a little bit of an attack. And the spikes that you see over here are normal for us going back to work with schools coming back into play and everything else. So were we in attack? Yeah, we were attacked. Did anything get leaked or anything? No, not at all. Abnormal security took care of us in a very big way. What abnormal security is, again, is more for email. It sits right in the middle between the front door of email coming into RNL and to your inbox. So it's kind of in between, and it looks for things that either one may not take in consideration. Where the AI comes into play is it looks at your inbox, understands the industry statistics and everything else coming in, and it does its own modeling to kind of help us out. And it's doing a great job. I will say that. It's doing a great job. So yes, that's in addition to spam. So there's two types of phishing attempts that really come into play here. One is name impersonation. The other one is just, an account type of, hey, give us your information. And we did pretty good on both of them. I will get into our results from our phishing campaign later, and you might be a little shocked. So this also shows, we asked abnormal security to give us more information on, how does this pertain to the industry? How do we know? And they pulled up this, and I'm sorry about the blurriness of this, but those phishing credentials, you'll see Ruffalo NL is the left purple bar or dark blue bar, where the right peers is our peers in the industry. And typically that's higher education. We were 45% higher. Now, technically speaking, that's 100%, almost 100% higher if you look at the double the bar, which means, yeah, we were targeted. Who was targeted? Believe it or not, these should not come as a surprise to you. These are a lot of people that actually deal, whose names have been with RNL for a long time, and they've been out there. So, of course, they're a higher target just based on their longevity with the company, or they're also possibly within a role or a department that actually does have a lot of influence, perhaps like contracts or finances. This actually popped up again this year. This is an actual attack. So this is a piece of malware that got through. Somebody clicked on it. They actually called it. And they did gain access to their PC, but they didn't do anything. So this happened last year. Believe it or not, it's the exact same one from last year. This is why you see the 10/6/2023. It happened again in early 2024. But if you see something like this, don't call Windows support. You call RNL support, and we'll be able to help you out a lot better than Windows support could anyway. But yeah, that's one example. Here's a couple other examples, and if we've been through some of the other training we've done before, these are actual examples, by the way. So you can see they do come into certain people. This one came into me personally. I've got some great examples. I've had Giacomelli.com for over 20 years. I've seen just about everything. And this one looks beautiful, except for certain things that should automatically pop out, like freakfastgift.com. It's not Amazon, it's freakfastgift. I don't think so. And I'll go through a couple other examples in here that I can show you what to do if you think it's malicious and don't really know. But yep, that's another one. This one came in through a phone that was actually sent to us. This is update payment. And one of the things I want to point out is on your phones, you really don't have a mouse that can actually put a mouse cursor over a link or do a couple of things that might be in your email. Whereas if you could put your mouse over this link, you'll see that it's not going to any Netflix, it's not going to Visa, it's not going to PayPal, and that's a dead giveaway. Now, if anybody has gotten a text from our CEO and knows that they probably shouldn't, I mean, this follows me with every hop that I've made in the past. I've actually, I want to say a victim, but if you're a new employee, most likely your next manager up, or even the CEO, the CTO, the CFO might send you a text, but I'll almost guarantee it's probably not them. We use Teams, and if you know that person's email, or if you know that person's phone or cell phone number, you'll know if it's them or not. If you get something out of the blue and you don't know, but maybe Bill wants to actually have you get some Apple cards for him, call somebody and ask first. Just call them. I wouldn't call this person back. Obviously, it's an iMessage. It doesn't have a phone number. But if you need to, if you know that person's phone number, call them on it. Now, me personally, I do tend to have my fun a little bit now and then when I get something like this. But if you're not experienced and you're not ready to actually take on a brunt of that risk, don't do it. Just delete it. Report it if you can. So be safe, not sorry, right? When in doubt, report it. For those that did report their phishing scam emails that they got through our campaign, thank you very much. You probably got something from me, either in a ServiceNow ticket or even a text or a Teams message that said, well done, thank you very much. Shh, don't tell anybody because it was going on. You probably got a couple of them. So, but when in doubt, report it to IT and be prompt about it. The longer you wait, the longer damage can happen. There have been a few instances where something, maybe somebody got in or somebody's been hacked or laptop has been stolen. The longer you wait, the less chance of us being able to do something about it, potentially. So for example, if somebody steals somebody's credentials and you don't tell us, and it's over a weekend, they could have access for 48 to 72 hours of our systems. Tell us. The first thing we want to do is just make sure the front door is locked and that everything's safe. The longer you wait, the more at risk you put RNL and yourself. Because don't forget, if it's your account, it's also can be personal. Don't be afraid. It's not like it happens more often than you realize. So please don't be afraid. When in doubt, just ask. and stay vigilant, stay safe, right? So a couple other things, especially in our line of work, what is spoofing and how can I detect spoof websites? Well, I'll probably show you one here live in a minute. I actually had to do this for one of my previous employers because they weren't believing me that it could be done so easily. And is it real or is it fake? These are two actual web pages. You'll see the left is Cigna.com. Yes, I was an employee of Cigna, and they weren't believing how easily it was that we could actually just copy their website and put it on someplace else. So this one you see on the right is still live today. If you went to that URL right now, you'll get it. Matter of fact, let's see if I can go there right now for you, if you haven't seen it before. And I think it's going to be probably, what's that one? Yep, there it is. That is, and do these links work? Depending on what it is, they could. And that's what I want to show you, everyone here. So some of these may or may not work because it's really just a copy of their site. But some of the things you'll see, that one. Look down here in the bottom left. If I roll my cursor over it, that one's a real link. That one is not. Of course, that one won't work either. That's how you can tell. There's a whole bunch of things you also, if you know the original site, you'll also notice I wasn't perfect with this. These are a different font than the rest of their normal font that they use, if you're aware of that. And if you start clicking on certain things, you want to be careful if you're going to click through. Some of these things do work, but they don't. They go to something else. And that's how you know, because some of the links are expired. Okay. It is coming up on the holiday season. It's typically Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or outside of just the holidays in general for holiday shopping, you're going to get a lot of, personally, not just from RNL, and hopefully they target more of the personal ones, not RNL, to make my job easier for Ruffalo and Will Levitz. But personally, you will see an increase in your spam over the holiday season. Will that mean, are you targeted? That depends. I mean, it depends on how much you put yourself out there, how at risk do you give it. Do you sign up for a lot of things? Do you sign up for Facebook groups? Do you sign up for LinkedIn stuff? Do you go on Google a lot and actually type in your information? At the end of this, I think it will have a little bit of time. I'll actually show you how you can spiff up your social media security if you want to, and maybe not be a target so much. Email is another one. If you sign up for a lot of things, yes, you can unsubscribe, but be careful because sometimes the unsubscribes just sign you up for more. You can see our fraud, the daily volume of fraud attempts. Now, this is typically seasonal, so it doesn't matter. They go up every year, but just between November 24th and 28th, it goes up almost 1.5 times. So it's coming. And of course, what's the best way to actually help you out? It's to change your password. Hopefully this works. Here, we'll do it in a minute. So if you've never seen Michael do this before, and for most of you, you know that we've changed our password policy and it's been increased. It will be increasing again. All we did was bring it up to the minimum standard that's actually there for NIST and for PCI. And that every year tends to change and get more complex. It will, just like you'll see here. Can you hear now?
We can.
And at the beginning, we all had one password. It was our first password we can nostalgically remember. And we used it for everything. Every time we joined another business, can I have your password? Yes, you can. That is my special word. And then companies started getting quite rude. You would put your password in and it would go, weak. Who are you to judge my special word? And they're like, I'm sorry, but the internet has become very popular. We need to strengthen your password. And businesses would insist, we must have from you a capital letter. I'm sorry, we will not be accepting passwords anymore unless it contains at least one capital letter. And we all momentarily considered our options before deciding to capitalize the first letter of our password. And for a period of time, that was fine. But the internet became even more popular. And then businesses started saying, I'm afraid you cannot join unless you have at least one capital letter and at least one number. Again, less than half a microsecond's consideration before we collectively decided you shall be getting the number one. That will be the end of my now capitalized password. And for a period of time, this was acceptable until a whole new, unexpected, and exciting dawn emerged. A world of special characters. We didn't even know what they were. And businesses would say, we need a capital letter. We need a number, but we will also require a special character. And we clicked on the button, please, can I have some examples of these special characters which you now insist upon? And we perused them. There they are. I had no idea these characters were so special until all of our eyes stopped upon the exclamation mark. You're coming with me. Which we then put at the end of our now capitalized password, just after the 1. And it's at this moment that everybody at the London Palladium is thinking, I should probably change my password.
All right. So hopefully we can all understand and see where the history of that came from. Just to let everybody know, and I didn't share this last year, but one of the reasons why we actually did go through some of these changes and why we're going to continue to do that is when we actually did our penetration testing last year, I actually asked our security operations center and our auditor that was doing, I said, do me a favor, I'd like you to go ahead and put in some keywords and see if you can crack some passwords. And they said, what would you like to do? I said, just give me the seasons, last year, this year, and an exclamation on the end of it. And we cracked about 40 of them. So don't think that, you know, the 12 characters, especially when it was capital S for summer, 2023 exclamation is going to work. And then get to 2024 and 2025 and 2026. And then every 90 days, switch it to spring, summer, winter, fall, whatever. No, that's why we're also going to be updating it. And that's why it's also being updated every 90 days. People get confused and I get asked a lot of questions. Well, NIST versus PCI, those are two security governing bodies that we kind of follow. Well, NIST does it this way, PCI does it this way, and we do both. So we take the best of NIST, which is 12. Right now, it's a minimum of 12. It can go up to as many as you want to. But I'm sorry, PCI is minimum of 12. But we want, it used to be you only had to have 2 of the 4, upper, lower, number, special character. Now we require 4 of 4. We're hoping that you create a passphrase and that you integrate them accordingly. It probably will be going up to 15 or more, possibly in 2025, but they're always getting more complex because the computing power to crack them from brute force is just getting that much easier and faster. Okay. And I'll get to some of these at the end if we have time. We do have, for those of you who used to use LastPass, that has been replaced with Keeper. So hopefully you're using it. If you don't have it or want access to it, please put in a request to do so. We will get it to you. But hopefully everybody knows what Keeper is and how to use it. I use it all the time. One thing to note about Keeper is if in your Keeper, right, and I have it up here right now, in your Keeper, if you were to actually go to your own security audit, all your passwords that are in here that you have access to, you can actually go to security audit and it will audit all of them. Some of these may or may not apply to you, and I would encourage everybody to take a look at it, because if you go to Breach Watch, which is all the ones that you have access to, it's not just yours, but it's that you have access to, you'll see, hey, there's 113. Believe it or not, that's not a high number. We have over 10,000 passwords that I have access to, or something like that, that could be in there. That's probably an exaggerated number, but that's close to it. And most of these that are breached, or they say that might be at risk, don't exist anymore. The one thing we did not do, just we didn't have time to do it, but we still want to, is to clean up our Breach Watch and our passwords. Some of these accounts don't even exist. Some of the clients don't exist. Some of the servers that we had, they're taken from our Kirkwood office. They're in here still as well. So what I would at least want you to do is go up here, and if you see one that your team is using, or sorry, if you see one that your team has in here and it says high risk, but it's not there, delete it, get rid of it, or change it. And for those with your own, for example, this F5 one is, I don't even care about that one because it's gone. That F5 account is actually gone. But yeah, you'll see that mine's 99% strong. I encourage you to go for the same percentage. Okay. If you don't have a password manager at home or some sort, I mean, having one of those password books, I know my mother has one for herself, and that's I guess okay, because pen and paper still works for many people, and she doesn't like to use the things online. She thinks it's less safe. But if you have, you can get Keeper for yourself if you want to. I don't think we actually sponsor that, but it's actually not that bad for a family membership every year. But there's other ways to do it. I've been using a secured OneNote on my secured M365 account for my home for about 10 years, and it's been pretty good. I share it with my family, so that actually works with us really well. Public Wi-Fi, should we use it? Nothing's preventing you from using it. I will say this: should you use public Wi-Fi with your work laptop? I would not. No. Could you use public Wi-Fi with a VPN? Well, that does make it more secure. And especially when you're at a hotel for guest Wi-Fi, that's not public Wi-Fi, that's guest Wi-Fi, that's better. But public Wi-Fi, I can almost guarantee you that somebody's probably listening. If you're in the city at a Starbucks somewhere, someone's probably listening. I used to do it for fun all the time when I used to work in Philadelphia. And definitely disable your file sharing, because if somebody gets in, they'll just be able to get your OneDrive is on your machine. So if they can actually get on your machine through public Wi-Fi and sniff the network, and it's not encrypted, they can get all that. Make sure it's encrypted, meaning HTTPS versus HTTP. Hopefully you all know what that is. If you don't, Google it. It'll actually show you, depending on if you like to use Edge or Chrome or Firefox or whatever, how to know if it's a public URL with encryption or not. And yeah, don't just exit the website, log out. If somebody happens to be sniffing your traffic or something like that, and they actually, if you don't log out, they can actually take over your open session. If you close that session on the website itself, it's no longer open. So log out, don't just close. And of course, if you can, yeah, mobile devices are becoming more pervasive. And I'll go through a couple of things now, why you would, if you have any questions about, is this a site I shouldn't be going to or not, and it's on your phone, either just get rid of it if you know it's not, or don't click on anything, because you can't see, typically you can't see what you're going to be clicking on. VPN, to use or not to use. I would use it if I'm working with client data, if I'm working, and of course you need to use it if you're trying to get access to inside RNL resources over the VPN. But I would use it just make sure that it's doubly encrypted if you're working on client or student data. You don't have to, because most of the things, if it's on M365, SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, that's all encrypted, both in transit and at rest. You should be fine. If it's being used within, if you know if what you're using is within AWS or Azure, that's all encrypted as well. The only things that are not necessarily encrypted all the way are things that we actually use within our data center in Volta, which is now called Arc. And you should be using a VPN to get to those anyway. I did have a lot of questions. What about a personal VPN for home? I have one, absolutely. I would recommend everybody at least have one. You don't have to use it all the time, but it is nice to have that extra feeling of security. I will say this though, if you are using a VPN and it's not RNLs and you're coming in from somewhere else, just please note that we do block a lot of traffic that doesn't come from the US or one of our approved locations. Yes, we have approved locations like India, which is also why when you go on vacation, it may not work for you, because we probably block access from those locations. If you go on vacation and you want to take your work laptop with you, even though vacation means to vacate from work, I would suggest you put in a ticket to say, hey, I'm taking my work laptop with me on vacation. I'm going to go to, I don't know, the Bermuda. Can we open up Bermuda for, the week that I'm there? And we can do that for you. Okay. This is true. This is absolutely true. It is not foolproof. It's also better than not using it. Okay. So what can you do? If you actually want to find out, and I'll Google myself just to see what's out there, and hopefully nothing's there. And most of the time, nothing is. But I would, have you been breached? The good thing is these links that are in here, and I'll open up a couple of them myself so I can show you. Have I been owned? Pwned is the thing, right? So if I want to put my name in there, no. No one's email address, maybe except for those top 5 that we saw in that previous one for phishing attempts. No one should be in this list. So you should be green all over the place. Now I'm going to show you one that's not green, but I know why, so it's okay. Again, I've owned this domain for a very long time. This email address has not been changed in about 25 years. Yeah, I know I have. I've been in part of breaches. So the good thing is this actually says, hey, is it there? Where is it? What is it? Breaches your... Yep, I've been in the Adobe, I've been in the LinkedIn, I've been in the MySpace. I don't even have a MySpace or a Dropbox account anymore, but my stuff is still there because it's a previous account. So I love this website because it'll actually show you with your personal email, not just your work email, where it was. Now, you should be aware of it, though. You should have gotten an email if you were part of a breach, and I'll even go through some of the sites where they might actually say, hey, we're going to give you free credit monitoring. That's the worst thing that the worst thing they can do with a breach is say that, yep, we know there's a breach. Guess what? We're going to give you free credit monitoring. That's pretty much it. And they will help you if your identity gets stolen, take it back. So one of those, by the way, people had what about Kroll? Yep, that's one of them. So is Experian, so is Equifax. Chase has their own. If you don't have a credit monitoring service, or if you have a credit monitoring service and you want to look for cybersecurity monitoring, that's what I would suggest. So most of those, if your personal were a part of a breach, please go ahead and I would take advantage of that free service. I actually do pay for one as well, but it should come with most credit card companies offer it up as a free service to actually search the deep web or the dark web, which is why you'll see I do go through a whole bunch of alerts. What was compromised? My telephone number. Okay. I haven't had a Yahoo address in a long time, so I know it's pretty old. Identity monitoring. What am I monitoring about myself? It's not just my email. It's also my telephone numbers, my social security number, credit cards. You can put all that stuff up here. And then depending on that, you can actually get into, have I been found on the deep web? Yep, sure have. Web Watcher, and I can actually go into all of them. I'm not going to go into them here because it's mine, but the Ruffalo account is secured. Not on that website as well. I'm sorry, on that website as well, up at the top, you can actually go to, what about my password? Now, you're going to love this. I know this password's been owned. Sure has, but if I actually just put, nope, I'm not going to tell you what I did, or will I? Sure I will. I put in a special character, an additional special character at the end of it. Now, I would never use one of these passwords again anyway that I just showed you because they were only eight characters long. I tend to actually just try to stick with, if my company requires 12, I want to make sure my personal, because that's the minimum requirement the company has, it should be the minimum requirement for me. So I'm trying to keep myself up to date with what the industry stays up to date with, what our companies should be following. So if the minimum best practice for my company is this, it should be good enough for me as well. Maybe I need more. So that's why you'll see some of these. I can actually go in here and, yep, that one's, let me see if I put, yep, that's good too. Just another special character and makes that one password better. I still don't like it because it's not 12, but that just gives you an example. The other one I would actually go up to, there is something called a privacy analyzer. I just put this in here today. I totally forgot about it. But if you go to privacy.net/analyzer, and you can do this on your home computer as well, and you hit start test, here's what I want to show everybody. So this knows, this is my IP address from my home router, and it knows, right? I'm even on the VPN right now, but my internet for my home does not go through RNL. Unless you're on a special VPN, the internet connectivity, if it's not going through RNL, is using my own. So it has a public IP address. What I can do then is go ahead. Now it's going to say, select your state. The reason why it's doing this, if you don't see a drop down, then you have autofill disabled. So people don't know what autofilled is. It's a special feature within every browser that says, do you want me to start storing things like your name, your address, your emails, your preferences on certain things, like your state? And I can put one in here. Notice what it did. Now that it just gave you my state, what else is autofilled? It just filled in everything else it found about me from the autofill cache. Careful, but if you want to feel more safe, disable autofill. Clear your cache. It'll go away. Once it has that, it could actually start going through account tests, browser capabilities to see what's there if you want to have more intel on it. And it can actually go through a fingerprint analysis, which you don't need to do, but yeah, it'll give you more information. But that autofill leak test is pretty good, especially at home. What are we doing to help out with these things? Well, we're definitely doing a phishing test. Oh, I just didn't put that one in there. What you're seeing here are the actual results from our latest phishing test. We sent roughly 3 emails average to everyone that has a M365 RNL RaffoloNL.com email address. And what you're seeing here are the summaries of the types of templates that we originally started with. And I picked some very popular ones to see if it would get through. They weren't that great, but they were popular. And you can see which ones actually got phished. If you were quote unquote phished, which means you clicked on something and you gave it some information, that's considered a phish. Whether you provided personal information or health or data or something, there was only one that we had, and that's been taken care of already. That's the good news. Some people have been phished, and if you look at the percentages, it's pretty low. It's under 15%, which is pretty good for how many we sent. And what was interesting, though, is human resources. That's not from a Microsoft or a Google, a Zoom, a OneDrive, or something like that. That's from RNL Human Resources. That was the highest one that people clicked on, which was a little interesting to us. Still looking into that. Okay. Again, we do have some questions and answers that were submitted. So I will go through these one at a time. And is there a way to determine if you've fallen victim to a phish or a scam or something like that? Yes. Outside of going through what I showed you about checking your email on your credit scores, and if there's any other like Kroll or Experian or something like that, check your spam. Maybe something is constantly trying to get through. Maybe you're getting and put them in your block list. Also put ones in your safe list to make sure that they get through if you know they're trustworthy. If you do want to get a little bit more detailed, look at your logs. And what type of logs? Name it. You've got system logs, application logs, browser logs. Clear your browser history. Ask, do a search, put it in Copilot, see what happens. Is there other software that you can use? There is, but I would just stick with the basics. For my home computer and everything else, I just use Microsoft. For those of you who are Apple people, Apple doesn't have as many exploits out there, but they're up and coming. They really are. So yes, you could go with some of the basic ones like Norton or McAfee or anything like that, but Microsoft tends to be pretty good at it. How can I secure my home network? Well, there are so many different ways, and it's kind of like an open or broad question. What I have done is I've actually just put in, if I can move this out here. Oh, where did I put it? Yeah, put it in Copilot. How about we start using our own AI, right? We do have our own Copilot. Put it in there. Change your default credentials, which I do. There's a separate question: how do I actually make my home networks more secure? I'll go into more of these in a more detail. Most of these you should already know. All right. Are free software platforms really helping ensure that I'm staying protected? It depends. And I would say this: you get what you pay for. One of the things I do vote against is having more than one. So, for example, is it more secure if I put Norton, McAfee, and a couple others on there at the same time? Yeah, you're going to start seeing problems. It's not going to like itself. You're not going to get out and use anything. It's going to start conflicting itself. I've seen it multiple times where antivirus programs don't like each other on the same machine. And the more you put on, the worse your performance is going to get, because they're constantly looking at each other and determining if that scanning is legitimate or not. Try to stick with one. And of course, for the free ones, Avast and some of the other ones, it really depends. I would not use, if you think you get hit or something like that and you want to try to get a free removal tool, I would not do that. Those are the ones where they kind of take advantage of it and say, hey, we'll get rid of this for you. Click on our link, download it, and then they got access to your machine. Would not do that. Social media safety. I do have a special slide at the end I do want to get to, so I'm going to hold that one off for the end, but I will say just review and check the settings and activity. Facebook, Meta, LinkedIn, Google, you can actually see where you've logged in. And that includes your phone, what you were doing. Just know this, if you can see it, so can they. Once your information is out there, let me go back up. What's the best approach? Believe it or not, there is a do not call list that's out there. And I would just go ahead and Google do not call list. There's a government website that you can put in your phone numbers. Now, these are for calls. Spam is different. Spam is just a very large problem right now, especially now that we're in an election year. You're going to get it. Matter of fact, your calls at home, people may not realize this. If it's for political reasons and they're from a nonprofit, they're allowed to call you. So even if you don't put yourself on a do not call list, they're allowed through. That includes spam, regardless if you unsubscribe or not. It'll be interesting to see the dip. I'm really expecting a huge drop in spam, not only phone calls, but emails after the election. We'll see what happens. What if the hyperlink is sent was identical? Don't use your phone. And I can go through a couple examples of that as well. If you're talking about that, a hyperlink, you should be able to, especially with the training that you've taken from RNL, determine what is a good or bad email, malicious link or not. The difference on your phone is you don't have some of those capabilities, like a mouse over, because you don't have a mouse. So your rollover can't show you the URL. Don't use your phone. We already talked about that. Yes, I would go, by the way, everybody has in private mode. People forget it all the time. That's what you're seeing here. It's dark. Why? Because it's in private mode. I can easily just go. Oh, let me see if I can get it. There it is. Right click in private window. Now, what's that going to mean? You have to log into everything, or at least in this session, but it's a private window. When you're done, your cache is gone. Has the development? Absolutely. AI has not only helped cybersecurity, it has also given it more risk, especially with social engineering, ChatGPT, machine learning. If you haven't seen some of the scary videos out there where AI has learned your speech and pattern recognitions, mapped your voice, and if somebody calls and they say, hey, can you help me? Or, it's out there. You really have to be a large target for them to put in that much effort to do certain things like that. But the easier it gets, the more targets are going to be out there, meaning you and myself. So the AI security stories from 2023 are pretty good. In 2024, I know of a few that are just that much more. They're scary. They're getting really scary, especially with AI generated pictures, AI generated text. It's not just mimicking your voice and everything else. It mimics the way you speak. If you have a stutter, if you say like a lot, it can pick up on those things. So yes, it's increasing the risk. What's the most common attack on RNL? Phishing. And what's the most common phishing? Impersonation, meaning I'm coming in as somebody else. Hey, it's from Brenda or something like that. Outside of the email, everything else, it's port scans. But we do a very good job on trying to identify these. So what's a port scan? Some hackers out there, depending on where they are, they come in and they find a public IP address that we have out there. We're not hiding them because that's part of our products, right? And they do a port scan. So hopefully the only ones that we have out there are the ones that are allowed, like SFTP, HTTPS, and a couple others. Recently, just in case anybody really knows, if you've been keeping up on our BitSite score, which is kind of like a credit score for cybersecurity risk, our BitSite score dropped like a rock down from 760 or 770 down to 710 over the course of a month or two. Why? We forgot about an open port on a dev box that was picked up by BitSite. Now, this is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to tell us, and I'm glad it did. So yes, our score got dropped, but that also means it gives us time to plug the hole. So if you're wondering why possibly our BitSite score dropped, it's because of that, and we know better for it now. This is exactly why we have the tools in place and why we pay for them to tell us these things. What's my biggest concern? It's really the unknown. So as a certified project manager, my biggest fear or my biggest risk are the unknowns. You can still plan for the ones that you don't. So used to call them black swans, you know, the hurricanes, the earthquakes. You know, I used to work in healthcare and within utility, and so they were real, especially from a project management perspective. For cybersecurity, it's ransomware, 0-day ransomware. That's my biggest fear in security. Can you find it? Well, that's why we have all these tools in place to help us, and why we try to go through more practices and standard operating procedures and spiff up our security and tighten up and clean up things. But yeah, that's my biggest concern. What about documents containing sensitive identifying information? And people are saying like, oh, network share drives, stop using them. If we can, please move them to SharePoint and OneDrive if you can. We used to have a lot more robust and mature tools to help us identify what they call DLP or data security within our unstructured data stores, like a file share. It's becoming more difficult to go ahead and protect those. We do scans on them. Not as much as we should because it's being used so much and it does impact performance, and there's a lot on there. So that's why you see Michael Claiborne and others trying to move off of our file shares. We do understand it's going to take a lot more though, because a lot of our solutions and our products actually have coded solutions into using file shares, like SFTP. Comes in, goes to a file share, gets picked up by another product or script or something like that on there and gets moved to someplace else. So in order to get off of them, we need to reprogram them. It's not easy. It's going to take a little time. Other good tips for safe browsing. Already went through that. A couple more in the past month. Yeah. So this was good. I got a couple of these. So this is actually a combination of a couple of emails that came in for that. Haven't really seen these often. Well, Q2, Q3, I kind of showed you, we did get targeted by a very green organization out there that was trying to phish us, and it was very interesting. It caught, I'd say, 90% of the phishing things. But we also went on our own phishing campaign, which is why you saw probably 3 of them at least come in to your email inboxes. So have we done something different? Yes. So in order to help out with some of these things, what you may also see, and I'm going to give this out to everyone now, notifications.ruffolo1l.com. So if you want to see emails coming from a subdomain, but with the ruffolo1l.com on there, I thank Greg LaRue for helping set that up, because that was causing a lot of problems. We had a lot of DNS or entries within our external domain name service to help us out with emails. And as a result, we've been getting put on blacklists and being marked as spam, which we don't want to do. So what we can do now, and what Greg is helping out with, is we're doing certain things within our DMARCs or demarcations and DKIM rules, if you're advanced enough to know what those are. One of those solutions is to have like notifications, and we're probably going to use more of those subdomains in front of ruffolo1l.com. Okay. I love this number 6 because I was part of that. This was me as well. I don't know how. I joined RNL in June, right? So of last year, sorry, of 2023. And this year, my wife, my daughter, and myself all got the same, I think it was a campaign that we sent out for alumni. My wife and I went to West Virginia. My daughter went to Salis and Westchester. She actually got 2. Have no idea. That's how large your database is. That's pretty impressive. But I too, I'm like, wait a minute, I wasn't aware of that. Nobody told us about it. So what we need to do internally is at least communicate probably a little bit better when we start sending some of these things out. We should know it, but we can always improve our communications and have more transparency when we're doing certain campaigns like that. But it was a true one. It was a false negative. Okay. So hopefully you saw the video. If not, God, I really don't like myself in that video. So maybe you don't go see it because I'm kind of embarrassed with it, but it worked out really well. I think Brittany and team did a great job making me look as good as they did, but thank you for that. Definitely take your mandatory cybersecurity awareness training. I think that's going on very well. We are going to continue our phishing campaigns. And if you do happen, they're going to get better. When I say better, they're going to get more sneakier. I'll just give you, so if you're lucky enough to be on this call, keep it to yourself, but they're coming. Keep an eye out for them because the season is upon us to actually get phished. So we're going to continue that. And if you do get hit, you will be sent to additional security training, which is pretty good. I actually like them. They're actually entertaining. So I have taken a lot more. We will also be putting out additional training for people that have elevated access. So for example, administrators for certain things we'll be giving additional training to as well. That also follows the work bites and optional cybersecurity courses. Okay. So I did get another question, by the way, Brittany, there's 2 more slides that were part of this. So where is RNL using AI within security? AWS and Azure, believe it or not, have built-in AI vulnerability management, threat detection, and governance. So we've been using that. The more we put to the cloud, I think the better we're secured. It's not to say that we're not. It's just say I think that's part of why we move things to the cloud. It's part of the baseline governance infrastructure of those cloud partners. So we do want to use them more. Within our own, by the way, in Volta Arc data center, they also have Darktrace that's watching over them and us, and it does have AI on it. For people who understand who our SOC partner is, ProCircular, that we have, there is something called SentinelOne. That's what we use for not only antivirus, but also our MXDR, which is manage extended detection and response, which includes AI to look at patterns and some recognition. Abnormal Security, they have their own behavioral AI platform. The great thing about Abnormal Security that I wasn't aware of, we've had it for a couple years now. It knows our seasonal trends, which is probably why it did such a good job on identifying, and we didn't even know it. I had to ask them about the spikes in the metrics, and they dug a little deeper and found that out for us. So that's a great thing. And of course, BitSight. We've talked about that a little bit, but that has AI-powered discovery and an attribute engine to help identify certain things. For your social media checks, I am going to move over, why not, and show you a couple things here. So, Facebook, Meta. If you've never been there before, go to your account center. Put 2-factor authentication on it. I know it's a pain, but if you want to be more secure, 2-factor authentication, absolutely. Look at where are you logged in? What about the alerts? Recent emails? Check all these out. Especially reduce your ad preferences. Take them off. That's what I do anyway, especially within LinkedIn. You're going to see this advertising in a minute, but the account preferences within LinkedIn, you do have passkeys, who am I signed in as, and I turn on for LinkedIn, which I do protect a little bit more. I did turn on 2-step verification for that one as well. One of the things that people don't do, you really should, you should look at all of these. Who can reach you, invitations, who can contact you. Depending on how open you have your LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever profiles, if somebody were to use a bot or AI or scripts to go ahead and scrape certain data, you could be giving a lot of that information out for free. But for all of these, I would definitely see the third-party data. I turn all mine off. Now, that's my personal preference. You would have your own as well, including the activity. I turn it all off. Same thing with Google. Categories used to show you ads. Just turn them off if you don't like them. I don't care about ads. Turn them all off. And that's in your managed privacy. It could also check out your activity. So if you want to know where you've been. And I think we are good with the exception of, we went through that. Ah. Oh, wrong one. Yeah, the abnormal security finally came. I'm not going to look at that. Browser, autofill. There's your autofill. So I did want to come back and say, if you don't like to use autofill, you can turn it off. It does make your life, you pay for convenience. Your convenience also gives more risk. If you want your computer to autofill things in for you, then you're taking on the risk of it storing that information, which could be used, as you saw, in certain instances against you. People say, well, what do I do at home if I wanted to really, if you know how to do your own home security? I block everything except for certain.
Spirit. Hi, Ash.
Thanks, Kevin. I actually block top level domains. If you want more about that, if you're really into that, I can actually help you with that. Just let me know. And yes, prepare. Even Harvard Magazine late last year came out and said the future of AI hackers won't be limited to computers. They're going to be targeting financial, political, and social systems, and in unthinkable ways. That includes chatting. I've seen them. If you haven't seen them already on your phone, they're there. They are absolutely there. One last thing I will show. Some personal examples, just so I can show you some. If you were on a previous town hall, you know about the actual scammer that tried to, hey, I saw you, I've recorded you, and yeah. I got hit with those too, but it's not true. So I've been getting a lot of these. Look, it's from me. That's interesting. That's pretty good. I like that. To me. This one's pretty good. Now, what I can do is you can actually look at the headers on this, which you'd have to get somebody like somebody who really knows what they're doing to actually show you the headers of the email, and you can find that out. But if you're afraid this might be true, I have no problem in taking a look. If you have a problem, and of course, if it's personal, not RNL, I've got no problem helping people out. I've been doing it for a very long time. Friends, family, everything. Don't feel bad. It happens to just about everyone. And if it hasn't happened to you, or if you're not familiar with these, God bless you, because I don't know of anybody that hasn't had one of these come through. This is a good one. Pending payment based on, these are all just for those ones that have, that's interesting. Dan.uk. Okay, that's interesting. And of course, anything that says, hey, send me a Bitcoin, I always just flag. But some of these, waiting for payment. Oh, wait, wrong one. This one's pretty good. AdobePDF.com, which is not Adobe.com, but everybody distributes Adobe PDF with Adobe. So that's interesting. But that email, that's a dead giveaway. That does not look like a really good Adobe icon or Adobe graphic. And this is what I was talking about. When you put your mouse over, this is what you can't do on a phone. This actually came in on my phone first, and I forwarded it to my email. I wouldn't be able to see this contact. I would only be able to see notifyadobe.pdf.com. I wouldn't be able to see the contact, which is a dead giveaway. But I can see it in Outlook or an email. I can put my mouse over it and see that that is not going to Adobe. So just be careful. Wow, I did not think it was going to take up that much time. Brittany, I'm pretty much done. I showed a lot. Do we want to open it up for any other questions?
Yeah, we've got 4 minutes, so that was a lot of information, but really good information. Dan, you've got so much knowledge, so thank you for sharing. I think that any little bits that we can get about being safe on internet, and just being aware, especially because it doesn't just come in emails. That text message, I think that we do get a lot of things through even just mail and social media. So thank you for sharing all of that. Opening it up to the group. Any questions from anyone or any final thoughts? Any mind-blowing stats or anything that Dan shared that we want to mention? I'll open it up. Otherwise, thank you again for showing up, and we'll let everybody have the day as well. So open it up. Okay, well, with that, yeah, Dan, you did a great job explaining things. Oh, there's Wes.
I just wanted to say thanks, Dan. I mean, I get more scared than anything else. I'm afraid to open up any freaking email. So if anyone sends me anything over the next 24 hours, if I don't respond, it's because I'm scared of what all the shit that we just learned. So appreciate you.
Thanks, Wes. I appreciate it.
One thing I will say with that, Wes, I'm actually glad you mentioned the opening. I think that we all are a little bit nervous to open something and thinking that then, oh, we've been phished, we've been hacked, it's done. From going through and having this conversation with Dan and learning about it, you have to open it. It's the only way you're going to be able to know if it's actually real or not, because a lot of the subject lines and a lot of the senders do look legitimate. So don't be afraid to open it, but don't click on everything. Look around, make sure that you hover. That's why, again, making sure that if you can't look on your phone and you don't know for sure that it's a legitimate email, forward it to yourself, look on your desktop. Try to make sure that you're staying a little vigilant like that. But don't be so scared to open something. Just be very careful to not click on anything until you do so. All right. With that, then, we'll give everybody 2 extra minutes in their day. Thanks so much again for attending. I will put this recording on RNLU for anyone that wasn't here. If you want to be able to tell anyone in your teams that they can go ahead and get this. And again, thanks so much, Dan. Appreciate the information. And stay safe for the holidays. Thanks, everybody.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Brittany.
Happy Halloween. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.